back with another video, and this topic is something that I'm learning from currently. Most of the times when I try to talk about something, I want to make sure that I've already walked past that phase of learning and understanding and exploring, so that when I talk about it, I'm actually talking about it in a mature way. And even if it's talking with my friends about it, like trying to teach them something when they don't know about it. But this time it's different, and I'm gonna tell you why. And one reason was because of this book that I'm currently reading. It's about rising strong. I love this book. Maybe part of it was because I got it from one of my friends, one of my best friends here, as part of my graduation gifts. So yeah, and in this book there is a topic about curiosity and being vulnerable and everything. So I decided to talk about it even though I'm still learning. And I recently learned that with every experience and learning opportunity, we are unlocking a new level of understanding each time. So this topic I've dealt with in my first breakup, and I'm still dealing with it, but in another level. I know more, but still there's so much more for me to explore. And when I was thinking to myself, I was like, wow, there's so much I need to know. I'm listening to podcasts, reading books, like attending workshops, but still there's so much for me to learn. I mean, even if you are an expert, you should know that whatever you're talking about might change in a few years, because there's some sort of level of uncertainty to whatever you're talking about. Even if you're an expert and you have tons of papers and you're trying your best to be professional, but still things might change. And that is part of this book, talking about uncertainty and how curiosity is actually a killer of certainty, and it doesn't accept certainty. We are born to be curious, but somehow our ego tries to teach us the other way, to lean on to the certainty of how certainty is good for us and how it can protect us. But actually, uncertainty is the reality of this life. And even if you get into a relationship at first everything feels certain, things might get uncertain, you might get hurt. And that's about vulnerability. You should feel vulnerable to feel loved and to love, and that means some level of uncertainty, and we are all subject to it. And whether we like it or not, life is so uncertain, and we should stay curious. And staying curious is what I want to talk about and what I'm learning. So sometimes when we are feeling some sort of negative emotions, our first go-to is some addictive behaviors, or trying to run away from the problem instead of facing it and naming the emotion. Going through some addictive behaviors like watching so many videos, or like watching Netflix, or eating disorders, or sleeping too much, sleeping so little, going out a lot, and just trying your best to avoid that difficult emotions. It could also be some sort of productive thing. So you could go to the gym and try to hit the gym that much that you don't think about it, which is like good, but still. And that's okay if you're having any sort of coping mechanism, you just try to run away from it. It's okay. Not all of us are born with an emotional, mature parents, and nothing on them. They didn't know better, they didn't have access to the resources that we do today, and that's why we're here, to try to learn about our emotions. So next time you face difficult emotions, I want you to not go to the first go-to, and actually try to name that emotion and look deep to see what caused that emotion to arise. So let's say you have a boyfriend and you just suddenly get jealous of their ex, and didn't specifically do anything wrong, but you're just getting jealous. You can't keep your mind off the picture of them together, of maybe they like still love each other, maybe they're still in contact. You're just stalking their page and just comparing yourself with them, and this is just like a negative spiral for you. But at the beginning, you're trying to put the blame on the other person, trying to see how you can blame them, how they actually made you feel vulnerable and feel insecure. But that insecurity lies within you. Maybe you have that inside of you, that you don't feel precious enough, or maybe you didn't have an emotional mature parent who let you know and taught you how to deal with jealousy emotions, and that's not on them. And in the past few months, I'm trying to learn a lot about my emotions and their triggers. Whatever triggers you is just something inside of you, some wounds inside you that are begging you for healing, are begging you for you to go explore and see what's wrong, so that you don't have that mistake again in a future relationship or whatever adventure you're going to go through. And until we face them, there's nothing that we can do. And that's what this book is all about. I loved it, and there are like 1,000 quotes about this that I'm gonna post on social because I just loved it. It talked about ego, how our ego is trying to, I'm just going to read it from it, that says our ego is a part of us that cares about our status and what people think, about always being better than and always being right. I think of my ego as my inner hustler. It's always telling me to compare, prove, please, perfect, outperform, and compete. Our inner hustlers have every little tolerance for discomfort or self-reflection. The ego doesn't own stories to want to write new endings. It denies emotion and hates curiosity. Instead, the ego uses stories as armor and alibis. The ego has a shame-based fear of being ordinary, which is how I define narcissism. The ego says feelings are for losers and weaklings. Avoiding truth and vulnerability are critical parts of the hustle. And this is just how ego and curiosity are trying to battle, and that's what causes you to not go through your emotions. And if you're heartbroken, and feeling lost, and like feeling heartbroken is not just about losing a loved one. Maybe it's losing how they used to love you. Maybe it's changing in your life. Whatever it is, you're gonna feel lost. It's gonna feel so uncomfortable. I just want you to go, maybe even write them down. First try to name them, then write them down, then go deep to see what's actually happening. And if you couldn't do it yourself, I advise you to go to a practitioner, a therapist, whatever it is that you can access to actually help you with healing that wounds and healing that trauma that caused you to feel that. And you should face this, that there is no perfect relationship in this world, and those fantasies that they talk about all the time, that you're just gonna feel it, and it's just not true. Nobody's perfect. We all have some sort of emotional baggage, some sort of inner child trauma and hurt, and we will hurt each other all the time, even if we don't want to accept it. We are the toxic one sometimes. We are hurting people, and you should just go deep and get curious and rise stronger after each experience. And it's never-ending battle. You will never find somebody who is perfectly fine and healed, and neither will you be ever. So just accept that about yourself and go explore. And I'm just trying to keep this video short because I want you to get a lot out of it. I took this video 100 times. I tried to summarize all the points, and I'm gonna quote all of this from this book later, and hope you're enjoying your time whenever you're watching this video.